Hey everyone, I'm Jason Filer, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to a brand new season of The Afterglow. In this series, I sit down with voices from across the barbershop world to uncover the stories, passions, and the friendships behind the music we love so much. In this first episode of the new season, I am so excited to welcome the 2025 Barbershop Harmony Society International Quartet Contest silver medalists, Gimme 4.
Jumping, buzzing, coming and loving in my cup. I love coffee, I love tea.
Known widely for their crystal clear tuning, expressive musicality, and undeniable chemistry, Gimme 4 has over time become one of the most exciting quartets on the international barbershop stage. Their sound blends precision and youth with heart, turning every performance into something incredibly polished, ambitious, and deeply human. Today, we'll talk about their journey through the contest world, how they've built such an impressive sound, and what keeps them inspired as a quartet. So sit back, relax, there's no reason to wait any longer. Let's discover the people behind the harmony. Here's Paul, Dave, Joe, and Will. It's Gimme 4. Thank you for being here. How's it going, everyone?
Hey, thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
Awesome. Of course, it's great to have you. You heard a little bit about them in the intro, but we'll hear more about them individually and all about them as a group. So first of all, I'd love to ask how each of you just got into barbershop in the first place. Dave, we start with you.
Yeah. I started barbershop in high school. So, interestingly enough, there are connections within Gimme 4 of like musical connections. So like separate from before we started singing together, Will and I actually sang in a like pop, rock, emo pop band called Solace. So
It's not on the internet. You can't find it.
I don't think it's on the internet, but it's not that great, so you probably don't want to hear it. But we like made CDs and we did battle bands, and Will played violin and sang, and I sang and played piano in that group. So like Will and I knew each other from that, but in high school, like I wasn't that involved in music stuff. Like I wasn't really in like band and stuff and chorus like that. But Will at one time was in the a cappella group called the Retro Men, and I think he was the one who invited me and said like, "Yo, you gotta come join this group." And I wasn't that into it, but I don't remember. I guess we probably had been doing the band stuff, so I joined, and then we were kind of given barbershop in a way in that group that it wasn't really told us like that it was barbershop, but we really liked what we were doing and like what we were singing. But it was like all kinds of a cappella, and then the director of that, this guy Mike D'Andrea, was the guy who kind of really like pushed the barbershop on us. So that's kind of how I started singing it.
Cool. Will, want to just go with you just because it's a little bit similar at least.
Kind of the logical progression. So yeah, I actually joined that group, which was the men's a cappella group at our high school, to get better at singing for our pop punk band. That was my original motivation. And then I went off to college, majored in violin, and didn't really do much singing outside of what I was required to do, which was like large all-come chorus and basically a voice class for non-voice majors. Was the only singing I really did in college. And then I graduated, and Dave and I moved back home, and he kept talking about barbershop chorus rehearsal, dapper dance rehearsal that he was going to on Tuesday night. And I was like, when are you going to invite me? Because I had nothing to do. I was right out of college. My job at that point was 3 days a week. I was like bored out of my mind. And he kept talking about this. So I always joke that I should have my own person of note because I've invited myself to rehearsal.
Yeah, awesome. Paul, what about you?
You're definitely going to see a common thread here continuing. I also found barbershop via the Retro Men at our high school. So we all went to the same high school, not at the same time though, because Dave and Will are really old and Joey and I are much younger. So they were long graduated before we started.
Long.
But I actually, when I was in middle school, I was very involved in the choral program. And I remember there were combined middle school, high school concerts. So I remember going to the middle school concerts and seeing the Retro Men sing and being like, that is the coolest thing ever. I want to do that. So I got to high school, immediately joined the
So
Retro
basically,
Men.
we take all the credit for Paul because that was
Right.
us singing in those at that point.
But you guys didn't get my Man of Note. That's the funny thing. So I joined as soon as I got to high school, and then Mike DeAndrea, who Dave mentioned, he said like, "Hey, we do this other singing thing on Tuesday nights. You should come do it. I think you'd have a lot of fun." 18 years later, here I am, still doing it every Tuesday night.
Wow. Awesome. And Joe, how about you?
Yeah,
Spoiler:
I
it was the
mean,
Retro Men.
yeah. That's pretty much the story. There's a little bit of extra with me in that my family has been involved in barbershop for much longer than that. My grandfather and my grandmother were both involved in barbershop from the 60s and 70s. And then during that whole time my mom was a member of a local Sweet Adelines chapter. But and I grew up learning her baritone parts on literally on cassette tape, and listening to that and picking up those
And now his baritone parts are still in the same range.
right. So, uniquely prepared, uniquely qualified for this specific job. But and then when I started to actually be old enough to be involved, I was not. It wasn't until high school. I joined the Retro Men with a buddy of mine. We were like convinced that we needed to add a bunch of extracurriculars if we were going to go to college, and so we are like, we said, listen, I'll do this if you'll do it, and so we both joined. Me and my buddy Will McPeters joined the Retro Men, and he did it for about a year, and then went off, and he's an amazing bass player. He went to Juilliard, and and now I think he's playing with an orchestra down in Richmond or in Virginia somewhere, and just having like a wildly successful musical career, and I'm singing barbershop. I couldn't be happier. um,
It's also worth mentioning.
Those two are not diametrically opposed.
It's worth
As much as
mentioning
it is.
one of the coolest full circle factoids about Gimme 4 is that Will now directs the Retro Men.
yeah,
Oh,
that's cool.
wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
What's that experience like, and how do you find that that's like different from like barbershop explicitly? Like, what do you think the big differences are?
So my whole career is kind of like that because I obviously I work in the town where we all went to school. I'm a music teacher there, and at first it was very strange because a lot of my teachers were colleagues, but I just finished my 15th year, so a lot of them have retired, and it has been my job for so long that I don't really see it. I have to remind myself like, oh, I also went through this school system. In terms of barbershop, I try to kind of approach it the same way that our director did, which is like, singing 4-part barbershop, first of all, is extremely difficult. And my group is in any given year anywhere between 8 and 20 guys. So, in the smaller years, it's like 2 on a part, and holding up a barbershop chart like that is a challenge. So, I give it, in small doses. We start every rehearsal with a tag, but we don't sing exclusively barbershop. And yeah, there's been a couple, not like we have, but there's been a couple over the years that have come on into the barbershop courses from Retromen since I've directed too, which is also very gratifying. Wish it was more, but don't we all?
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So how did all 4 of you then come together at the same time to say we're all going to be in a quartet, we're all going to compete? Or did the competition not happen automatically? Did you sing a little bit before? Or what was that process like for anyone who wants to answer?
So I'll jump in. So Dave out in college, he sang in a quartet called Steel City Incline that went to the college contest back in 2010, 11,
Legends, absolute
2000,
legends.
yeah, 2011. Right? Or was it 10? It might have been
It
10.
was Philly, whatever Philly was.
It was
10.
10
That was 10.
because 11 was my first international, and they were not competing. So
Right. But I was supporting, we were kind of like, we were friends, from the Dapper Dans, which is our chapter. And I had just graduated high school and was starting to get more involved in barbershop and like the wanting to do more, be more ambitious. And I knew Dave was coming home, and I'm like, I'm gonna sing with that guy. I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know how we're going to make it happen, but I'm going to sing with that guy. And so the guy who was the director of our high school a cappella group, Mike, he, we were all, friends, and he was our teacher. But then it kind of, as we all kind of graduated, it became more, friendly, more friendship than it was, student teacher. And he kind of helped put that together. It fostered the beginning of the experience for us, like kind of pushed us to do stuff, sing together a little bit more. Um, and then when Will invited himself to rehearsal, it kind of became a little bit natural, that we started to gravitate towards each other, sing a little bit. This is going to be
Tags
a
after
deep,
rehearsal.
yeah, tags after rehearsal. Paul was in college at that point. So, at that point, Paul was in college down at the other end of the state. So he was not at rehearsal weekly, but he was in the orbit. We would see each other fairly regularly. Um,
But we did try another formation, but try it before we tried.
That's true.
we did.
You
We
heard it
did.
here first.
Dave was almost the tenor.
That is true.
Wow.
What a nightmare that would have been.
Better. Actually, we tried someone who sang in, at the time it was probably still TriStar Chorus. So one of the youth courses we were part of, it was a guy who sang in that chorus. His name was Joe Kiley. So he sang lead and I sang tenor. And I don't even really, I remember like we were in the basement of like the rehearsal place but I don't remember quite why we didn't end up like, I don't really remember why it didn't end up working out, but I think one of the other interesting things is like how Gimme 4, I think, like really started. Like Joey, like that was definitely like the trail. But then the Dapper Dans had this. I don't know which one it was at this point, but we had this show called Macaroni and Music, which was like a dinner show, and we were really pushed to like, hey, you guys are the young guys in this chapter. Can you please like sing something on this show? So I think we just learned it was the one song, right? We learned What'll I Do? So we
Barn
sang,
burner.
yeah. But chords. And we did that, and I feel like the audience like gave us a great reaction. So then like coming off of that, I just remember like thinking like, okay, like maybe there's something to this. And then I think the momentum, like we had already kind of planned on doing stuff together, but I think that was like a solidifying moment of like there could be something here, like this feels good. And then with the Rahway Novice Quartet contest was like maybe a couple months after that. So that was kind of like something we did. And then it was division. And then it was, oh, could we qualify for collegiate? So like I think fairly quickly after that, it kind of spiraled into like, this is something we're really going to commit to.
Yeah.
It's funny because coming off stage from that show, you guys were really pumped, and I was like pumped for the audience reaction. And then I remember Paul starting to talk about international. And to me, as like a violinist, like international competition is like the top 0.0000001% of like classical string players. Like I would never even think of even attempting to go to one. And I was like, internet? There's no way. We're just formed. We don't know what we're doing. Like we can't go to an international competition. But that's part of what is so great about barbershop is it's so accessible, and you don't have to be the top 0.0001% individual talent if the sum of the parts is greater than the individual.
Yeah. Great. Cool. That was awesome to hear about. So now that you guys have at that point become a bit of a quartet, where did the name come from? Whose idea was that, and what's the story behind that? If there is one.
Not it.
So yeah, I mean, I guess
There
we
we
could
go.
always cut it out later if it's not inappropriate really, but
Not
so
inappropriate.
there was a member of the Dapper Dans who I forget the reason, but at one point he had to have a finger surgically removed.
No, he
No?
had a
I'm not
finger
telling it right.
surgically added. So
Oh.
yeah, so if a member of the Dapper
He had
Dans.
4 fingers.
He has 4 fingers, and he's like one of the most lovely human beings that you could ever hope to meet. He's a hysterical human being. His name is Ari Brofman, and he if we didn't know for absolute certain that he wouldn't love this, that us talking about this, we would strike it from the record. But I mean, like, he's such a
He suggested it, didn't he? Suggest it? I'm
He
pretty
would come
sure
up
it
to
was-
people and say, "Give me 4." Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Give me 5, yeah. And so I was kind of his rec, for the name. But so he's Ari Brofman, the inspiration for many great things, and this name is one of them.
I feel like that was one of the first ones we kind of like considered, and then we're like, oh no, we'll definitely find something better than that. And then it was like, nope.
It just stuck, I think.
And like you see so often with, not just quartets but bands, like you make the name not necessarily
Yours.
because it's like it starts off great.
Yeah. Well, Mark Hale just gave his Hall of Fame speech and talked about how Michigan Jake is a terrible name for a quartet, but it's legendary now because
You don't
Michigan
even think
Jake is
about
who they
it.
are.
You just associate it so much with the identity of the group, and
I
not
do
the words
remember
that they actually are.
Before we settled on Gimme 4, I remember, because we were then and are now a very high singing quartet. I remember recommending, or at least suggesting, High 4. When it had the same double entendre with like high 5, high 4, but one of you was like, it kind of makes it sound like we're just smoking weed all the time.
High 4. Nice. I don't remember that one.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, it's cool to hear about all that stuff. So before we get into the whole barbershop contest of it all, which is only a small part of what you guys do, as I understand, I hear that you guys also perform with big bands from time to time. What's that experience like, and how did that come about? For anyone who wants to talk about that.
I could
I feel like that's you, right? Didn't you have the original contact with James?
Me?
Yeah, did you?
I mean, Dave's the contact guy.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Dave talks to everybody.
So he reached out so the band leader reached out via email, and he saw us on YouTube, and I don't quite remember the story, but he has this full big band and was looking to do like, Glenn Miller, Modern Airs, like those classic sounding charts, but not having like a vocal group that could do them. And I guess I don't remember what he searched for that found us. But
shout him out, Dave.
What?
Who it is? Like, say the name of the person in the band.
What do you mean?
It's James Langton.
James Langton's All-Star New York big band.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I don't think we were keeping it a secret.
No, we weren't keeping it a secret.
No, of course not. No.
We love James, and I mean we've been performing with him for a long time now. But he reached out, and I guess like it just kind of all ended up working. And he was at the time performing at the Top of the Rock in New York City. So like the Rainbow Room with the spinning dance floor, like a serious, like you have like billionaires buying $300 plate dinners, like sitting right there, and invited Will and I, or at least some of us, to go like, come watch this and like see if this is even something you'd be interested in. So like Will and I are like going up there, and we're hanging with the band, and we're like what, do we deserve to be here? And it's just like everybody is like dressed all in tuxedos, and it's so fancy, and this band is like, you've got like New York's best like instrumentalists, like it sounds amazing. So we were like, at first it was kind of like, I don't know, like it was like, can we do this also? Because like, we're singers, but like we don't really do that style, and we can get more into this later, but like only Will and I are really like trained musicians in Gimme 4. So like Joey and Paul, they read music, but it's more like they've gotten to learn how to read music. So it's not like Will and I both went to music school, so like we are trained musicians in that sense. So it was kind of like also like, we're going to be getting these arrangements. Are we going to be able to do this? And then I think then it was kind of like, well, let's try this out. Cause we were obviously like, this is super cool. Like we'd love to do this, but like, we didn't really know, are we capable of doing this? And then I think we commit to doing a certain amount of charts. And then we kind of met with him and a pianist. And then he had sent tracks kind of, and we had vocal arrangements done like by Adam Bach, who is a friend of ours who's done some arranging for Gimme 4 too. But And then it kind of just started to come together. And then we did that gig a couple times with them. So that was like a regular occurrence for them up on Rockefeller Center there. And like that was like to start off there, it's like it's just it was so cool. And then eventually those gigs went away, but we've still performed with them. We probably do like 2 times a year. It depends, like as much as we really can. And we usually do in like in a full show, we'll do like 7 or 8 charts, and sometimes we'll do one by ourselves. But James, like we've honestly, like I think actually performing with the big band has been a huge influence on Gimme 4, because many of the charts that Gimme 4 ended up singing as contest songs in barbershop were songs that we found through James and the big band. And we can get into that, but like that, like, and also like for me as the lead, that style and kind of like the feel and the melodies that are in that music is like just like really like something I can latch onto. So I think we've really lucked out with that. And then when we eventually recorded CDs, they recorded 4 tracks for our first and second album total. So like the relationship has gone on for a long time, and James is super talented, and everybody who's in that band is like every time we do that, and then I kind of like watch the band perform, and then we are like walking out on stage and then singing, I'm like it's just a really cool feeling, because you're just like, when did we get to deserve to do this and have this fun, and like this is something we get paid for, and like it's a super cool thing. Yeah.
I gotta say, it's one of the most fun things I think that we do as a quartet and have ever done. And the performances in the Rainbow Room in particular were really awesome and very memorable. But we've been performing with them in other places for what year did we start with the Rainbow Room? Was it 2014?
I'd have to look it up.
Well,
15.
I'm usually off
15.
by 1 year, so
It was 15. He contacted us in 2014, but we didn't sing with them until
2015.
15.
Yeah. So I mean, so now it's been a decade, right? We've been doing this for 10 years, and not a year has gone by with the exception probably of 2020, where we didn't have a performance with them, at least one. And we did one earlier this year. We have one coming up later this year. And it is extremely rewarding. It's very fun. It's a very different kind of music, obviously, than 4-part a cappella barbershop harmony. And as much as we adore 4-part a cappella barbershop harmony, it's nice to be able to do something different. And James and the band are just wonderful. They're wonderful people. It's just such a musically rewarding experience to do too. It's awesome. And Dave underplayed it slightly. We steal music from them all the time.
Yeah. Oh my God. Unfathomable amount of
Yeah.
charts have been stolen directly from them. One thing that's really cool about the big band is that the storytelling aspect, how you perform and tell story, with a band in the background is so cool compared to what we do where the whole story, every piece of it is from, the scene that we can set as the 4 singers. Having a lot of the heavy lifting done by the band actually ends up freeing you up to connect with the audience in an even different and a very unique way, because there's so much mood and scene set by the musical accompaniment behind us that we can play across the band with if we're singing background and then James is doing a solo vocal, the way that we can play back and forth with him, it's totally different than what we do with barbershop, but it's equally rewarding. It's really neat.
Yeah, that actually leads in well, because I was going to ask, what kinds of things, especially vocally, do you guys feel are different when you're singing just you 4 versus when you're singing with the whole band? Like, what are you thinking about? And when you're singing, are there certain things where you're like, oh, I should do this specifically differently when I'm singing with the band? What is that kind of experience like?
Well, a lot of the time, the arrangements are based on songs where there were female vocalists. So very often it's a male lead singer and female vocalists. And so we take on the role of the female vocalists. And so there's a little bit of a difference in the approach there, obviously, because of the range. But as I mentioned before, we are a pretty high singing quartet overall, so it does tend to suit us pretty well. Um, from my, Dave also said this before, Joey and I didn't actually go to music school. So my musical development as a singer and artist has been through barbershop. So the way that I kind of mentally approached the big band gig the first time was probably different than the way Dave and Will did. I would just assume based on, logic, based because they studied music and had a certain approach that was probably more scholarly and more broad and more studied and more worldly. And my approach was, I'm going to sing this like a barbershop tenor. And it didn't really work the way that you would want it to. Not that it sounded bad or I couldn't do it or anything like that, but just the approach was very much one that you would expect for someone singing the tenor part of a four-part a cappella barbershop quartet. And it needed to be a little bit more dynamic than that. The approach needed to be, the sound needed to be different. And I find myself singing the melody very frequently in the big band performances. And so in that first gig, I'm certain, I can't remember the set list from that first Rainbow Room show, but I'm certain that a percentage of them, probably a high percentage, were tenor melodies. I wasn't thinking about it or singing it like that. I was singing it like I would in the quartet, and that did not work as well as it could. It didn't do justice to the music.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's like that's totally different about it is like there's a couple songs where it's like one soloist out of Gimme Four and then three backups. So like Will sing Moonlight Cocktail, which is on our album, but then the three of us back him up. So like on that song, Will has to be a soloist for the entire time, and that is not normal for barbershop. So I know, like, when I had my first song, even though I am the lead, it was like a petrifying, terrifying, like scary feeling. Because it also, as a barbershopper, I feel like I don't know. It feels different because like in that setting, like everybody is like is me and only me, and it's like as a barbershopper, I feel like I share some of the load of it more. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not okay to do this by myself. So it's like a totally different feeling as a performer for me.
There's it's really cool because within barbershop especially, and I sing baritone, right? And there's patterns within barbershop for baritone. People like dog on baritones because of everything, and for good reason. But like there's baritone patterns that I follow, which makes learning baritone parts in barbershop fairly consistent and I don't say easy, but like it's there. I'm comfortable in it. Within the big band stuff, there are also patterns, but they're not my patterns. And so like I have to get readjusted out of that, and again, Dave and Will are trained, went to music school and have a pretty strong grasp on the theory. And Paul and I read music kind of like people interpret cave drawings. So like, like we know what the story here is supposed to be, but like there's room for interpretation sometimes, wrong notes. And so um and so like when Tim released the Tim Warwick, when he released the video of him doing, was it Good Morning that he did? Like the post international thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like it is against the law to listen to Tim singing the part and then go back and compare it to the baritone part that was sung on stage. It is illegal. Do not do that. You will go to jail if you go back, if you listen to that and compare those notes, because they're definitely not all the same. But like when we go to the big band side of things, it's like totally different patterns. The learning is totally different. But it's so unique and cool. The performing of that stuff is a wonderful experience. The learning it is tough. Learning it is tough though. Another thing is that like not it's not always set for our number of voices and our layout of voices. Like when you listen to what the final arrangement ends up being that we're going to sing along with the big band doesn't necessarily always line up with what was sung in the 40s. And so, a lot of times we get the music, but then our frame of reference is a track from the time period, and it's like recorded on an old record, and it's crackly and super tight, and you gotta really dig in and try to pick that stuff out, and but the experience of singing on stage is so rewarding and gratifying. People just love it. They love it like we love barbershop, and it's great. It's a great community that they have there too.
Yeah, awesome. That's so great to hear about. So now, separate from that, we have the contest stuff. So I'd like to first ask, in terms of your rehearsal processes for these for the conventions and contests and whatnot, you've been doing this for quite some time, and I wanted to know what are some of the biggest kind of changes you feel you guys have made to your rehearsal process to, hopefully make it more efficient and better or whatnot, and what do you think that you've learned throughout these many years of doing that kind of thing?
So it changed. You know, we used to all live 15 minutes from each other, and we would just rehearse once a week and coach when we could. It all changed in 2019 when Dave moved to Florida, and then the pandemic hit. So basically, our format now is the three of us, Paul, Joey, and I, get together every week, and then Dave tunes in on Zoom, stays muted mostly, and sings along with the three of us. Every once in a while, he'll unmute. We'll sing with him a little bit, but that's our weekly rehearsal. And then about once a month, Dave will come up, or occasionally we'll go down to Florida to rehearse as a quartet. And it was such an interesting shift, having rehearsed in person fully weekly for so long. And I think we could all kind of feel the stakes like raise a little bit with the actual 4-part in-person rehearsals, and they became, I don't want to necessarily say that much more focused than they ever were, but the stakes were raised, and I think we all, we approached those weekends a little more like gigs, even if we're not performing, in terms of like, let's make sure to take care of our voices, let's make sure we really know our notes, because it's our 4-part in-person time is so much more rare. The other thing I credit a lot of our success to, and will probably make him so uncomfortable with the amount of times we talk about him before this interview is over, but Tim Warwick has been absolutely selfless and so giving of his time for our quartet, and believed in us way before we ever even believed in ourselves for whatever reason. But when we coach with him, thing I credit a lot of our recent success to is we record every minute of it, and then we agree that we're gonna listen to X amount before our next weekly rehearsal, and we're gonna really dive in and try to accomplish the goals that he set out for us on the individual songs. Each week we call it book club, because it's like we're all agreeing to listen, because it's like 7-8 hours of audio sometimes, and it would be impossible to be like, okay, let's listen to all that before the next rehearsal. So we agree we're going to listen to it for this song, this specific chunk of coaching, and we're going to come back and we're going to have practiced and know the things that Tim was working on us with for that next rehearsal. And I think that's been probably the biggest, I would credit that the most to our recent success, at least.
I definitely agree with you. Book club's been huge. The shift in the way that we rehearse and coach was forced upon us by Dave moving, right? We didn't sit down and go, I think we should change the way that we're doing this. It was more a matter of necessity. And then COVID hit after that, of course, and threw a wrench into everything. But it has made a substantial difference. I think there was a degree of, like, we'll coach when we can. We'll see if we can find, however many weekends we have availability to bring a coach in. But now it's very much the strategy is around 5 people being together in a room, the 4 of us and Tim. And sometimes we'll have some additional coaches that we'll bring in as well. But it was a change in strategy, and it has absolutely made a tremendous difference. And we've been, like you pointed out, we've been doing this for a very long time. It's been a slow, steady climb for us, as opposed to any sort of jump, right? And you can point to certain changes and adjustments in the strategy that led to some of the slightly larger ticks upward versus the very, very smooth lines. And I think one of those was this most recent year, which had to do very much with that extremely focused and targeted preparation after and before coaching sessions, and after and before the individual weekly rehearsals. It's just so much. To be able to actually retain it requires a tremendous amount of work, but it has to be planned and focused work. You can't go into it without a plan, or not knowing what you're going to listen to, when you're going to listen to it, what you're going to focus on. Are the other guys going to be looking at and listening to the same thing, right? All that has to be orchestrated.
Yeah. Great. That's awesome to hear about. And clearly a lot of hard work has paid off. So that must feel pretty good. I wanted to know, some groups do, some groups don't. Do you guys have any sort of pre-show traditions where it's like right before you go on stage, we're going to do something, say something, whatever, anything like that at all? Or is it just sort of just go and do it?
I feel like there's like no like we don't like there's not like any I think it's kind of I wouldn't say it's stupid,
Dave
but
gets coffee.
Dave gets
well,
coffee. Yeah.
that happened for like a while, and then I've kind of gone away from it, but very much like coffee. But there was a time when I was like very superstitious of like the one time we had a really great hit, I had like a cold brew like maybe a couple hours before, so I was like I have to
get
have
that
cold
exact
brew every time. But we actually like we just like honestly, I think we give each other a hug, and I think like and you know we've been together for so long, and like and you know this is something we can touch on is like we've been through like because it's been so long we've been through like so many phases of life too and like our like families, kids, marriage, like so much stuff, so like they're like we have like grown so close as like friends, like it is like a family, so like we don't have like a ritual per se, but I think there's like a recognition of and I like to say this, like I try to remind myself of this too, of like whenever we get like a show weekend or something where we get to, and it's rarely like sometimes we'll have Tim come in, but like lately it feel like it hasn't been just the four of us, so I feel like when we get like those moments when it's just like the four of us and we get to do the stuff we do, like fly to X location, I just like I like to like just think to myself of like we're so lucky that we get to do this with each other and we get to share this and we have audiences who come up to us and talk to us, and like and to have that change over that length of time, like I never want to like lose sight of that, because there was a time when we were just like another quartet who couldn't qualify for international, and then you go to like this year, like people are stopping me and they're like telling me they were sobbing to us in the audience, and I was just like it's just like I don't want to forget, and I don't think it's lost on any of us about like how grateful we are that we've come so long and that we can like have that impact on people too.
Yeah, great. That's awesome to hear. So that was a cool story for that kind of question, which can sometimes be kind of silly. So that was really nice to hear.
Yeah, nothing
Uh,
too silly.
yeah. So, and speaking of this past convention, congratulations on your new medals. That must be pretty exciting. I wanted to ask, because you guys have been doing this for so long, and like Paul said, the climb has been very steady over this period of time, and that's really inspirational for anyone who's just starting out to see the kind of thing, and just to know that this kind of thing it gets better with time, and you just have to keep working at it, and it's taking you to a place where before this convention, you had the highest qualifying, the prelim score. So I wanted to ask, kind of different from that, but do you think that there were any sort of different nerves that came in this time with the prospect of like we might have a chance of winning, or was it sort of the same thing? You had to kind of block that out of your mind. How do you guys approach that kind of mindset?
Yes, it was more stressful. Next question.
Well, that's one perspective.
Have you met Paul? No, I mean I think like it. Go ahead, Joey. You can go ahead.
No, I honestly, I don't. To be completely honest, Tim has been so great with preparing us, not just musically, but also mentally for this. Because we knew. I mean, so our first collegiate contest was in 2012 when Lemon Squeezy won, and so we've known, it's not a secret, we knew how amazing Lemon Squeezy is, like so going in, you know we did our qualifying score, it went great, we had an amazing experience, amazing time, and the audience was so giving, and got such a great feedback, but like there was no delusion, we knew that there was no just walking in and waltzing away with a gold medal. That's not, we knew there was never like anything given. And so we resolved pretty early on, that the mental side of this had to be completely focused around giving to the audience, completely focused around removing the expectation of anything, and just doing what we do best, and connecting as best we can. Um, because this is not exactly what you just asked, but like the last several years, the one of the biggest differences that I've personally, and we've talked about it as a quartet too, that we've experienced, as a group, is that audience feedback, that super overwhelming, moment where somebody comes up and tells you how special that moment was to them, and it's like you hope you do that, like you're hoping that that happens, but to actually hear it firsthand from the person who was having that moment with you, we're 60, 70, 80 feet, from the front of the audience. We don't we get energy back, but and we try to connect across the footlights, but that special moment that somebody's having is we don't know until afterwards, and we had started in the last couple of years to get that feedback from those audience members, and that has been as rewarding and more rewarding than any other aspect of this. Is it's like that is confirmation as much as anything around Darnak. So that part has been super special. So going into this year, the reward for that we knew was not couldn't be focused around what we were going to walk away with. It was going to be about the experience we were going to walk away with and the experience we could provide for other people, and that we accomplished that goal. And I'll say just for a second, I'm gonna tangent here for a moment.
Please do.
We've been doing it for a while, and when you're a competitor and you're competing at the international level, and you have aspirations, it gets hard to enjoy the experience as much. Of course we love it. We love barbershop. We love the competition. We love the feedback from the we love the thrill of ringing chords, waiting for the awards, not the golf, but we love that whole experience. But when you're competing, and sometimes it gets hard to see. It gets hard to see that you get stuck in that element, and so I actually had a moment with some of the members of Lemon Squeezy when we were backstage after we had sung, and before the call off had actually started, and I got to talk to them a little bit. I don't always watch their competitors after we sing. But I went in, and Will and myself, and I think Tim was sitting there with us too. We went in and we watched, quite a bit of the contest after we performed in the finals. And I got to sit there, and when Lemon Squeezy came out and started Popular, and then they did their the secret sauce, the magic sauce, for a minute, for that whatever 10 or 11 minutes, whatever it was, I got to just be a fan of barbershop again. And I had a moment where I got to talk to them about it. And I was like, you know what? You guys are incredible. And for a minute, and I was so grateful that for 10 minutes, I got to just be a fan of barbershop again. And it didn't matter how it was going to come out. Of course, we wanted what we wanted. And I'm sure they wanted the same thing. But like, I actually just got to sit and love barbershop. And that, man, that was refreshing. It was really refreshing. And I'm grateful to them for that, as they beat the pants off of us in that final round. I'm grateful. I'm grateful
They sure
now.
did.
And I'm grateful to them for it, because I got to be a fan, and it's okay.
If I can piggyback off of that, when I went to my first international in 2011, I watched every single quartet in the quarters, semis, and finals, all of them. At international this year, I watched 0 quartets. 0. It is one of the worst parts about being a competitor in the kind of higher end of the contest. We are competing all 3 rounds, because you will be hard pressed to find someone who's as big of a fan of barbershop as I am. Really. And I remember in the early days of the quartet, when we knew we weren't going to be going past the quarter, I was excited about singing in the quarterfinals with the quartet and everything, but then I couldn't wait to watch the semifinals, couldn't wait to watch the finals and watch the call up and see who won. I missed that. And I look forward to hopefully being able to do it again someday, because it's one of the best parts, I think, of what barbershop is.
Yeah, and this is not us crying, by the way. We know how, and like Dave said before, we know how lucky we are to have these opportunities, and to be able to compete at the highest level like this. We're not crying over that experience. But for a minute, to be able to live, like, flashback to when we were in a less complicated contest experience for us. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Grateful to Lemon Squeezy for doing that, and it was great. It was great, and man, we're lucky. We're all lucky. Everybody's that does barbershop is lucky, but we really consider ourselves extraordinarily lucky for what we get the opportunity to do.
Awesome. That's very touching. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that kind of thing. So I want to give you guys an opportunity to talk about some of your music that you sing in the contests. A lot of the times when I have certain groups on who aren't, who haven't been doing it for as long, I sort of can pick and choose some songs because they only have so many, but you guys have quite a lot of songs you've sung over the years. So I want to give you guys a chance. If any of you have like a favorite song and then like a story about like how the song came about that you sang, or like a certain arrangement you like to perform, anything at all you want to talk about from any of the years you've been doing this.
My favorite song is the newest song.
Literally always. Yes.
People get really tired really fast.
Well, I was going to frame it as I love learning new music, but yes.
Oh, okay,
all right. But no, I mean, yeah, the first one that came to mind was our newest one, Photograph, Cody Fry song. It had been on our list kind of before, I think going into 2024, maybe even before that, of potential things, and we always listened to it and said, I don't know if that'll shop out so well. And then, so this year we said, screw it, let's send it to David Wright and see what he thinks. And he was like, yep, we can make this happen. So that was a really, really gratifying one to sing, not just because of the song and the arrangement, but because we were a little, I don't want to say scared. We were unsure if people were going to know the song, and if people were going to connect to the song, even if they didn't know it previously. And there were so many people that came up and said both, I love Cody Fry, I love that song, thank you for singing it, and also, I don't know Cody Fry, but that was a beautiful song, and it made me think of, it's also a song we all identify with, but I identify with particularly in this moment is, it's about life being about to change. So that was a definite highlight musically for me from this last one.
Yeah, I think we've done a really good job of picking songs recently that have that kind of effect on an audience, and having that kind of effect on an audience is transformational from the perspective of being in the quartet. It's incredible to see the kind of impact you can have on people's lives. It is. And we also, because we've been doing this for such a long time, the musical identity of the quartet, I feel like, has very much evolved, right? I mean, like every quartet, we started by just picking out songs that already existed, had been arranged, been sung by some champion at some point, right? Then you knew it because you liked it and you'd heard it before and you wanted to sing it. But we got to a point where we stopped doing that, and it was all custom music. And that's an important kind of step in the quartet journey, I think, is truly finding what your identity is. And that turn started to happen for us when we started stealing big band music. For real, that's when it started happening for us, as we started to really connect with some of those songs and wanting to get custom arrangements done of them, and kind of continued to shape from there. But I mean, it's, again, because we've been doing it for so long, it's such a transformation. There was a point where we just sang uptunes. We would sing 4 uptunes or 3 uptunes in a contest, and now we look at our greatest successes and the stuff that we enjoy singing the most and has the most impact on audiences, and it's mostly the ballads. And some of the ones that we get the most excited about are these really, really interesting and intricate and emotional and deep ballads. And it's so, like, if you roll the clock back, that version of us, if you told that version of us, oh yeah, your songs that are going to score the best or that the audience is going to like the most, it's going to be these really tender, ballads about love and life, and we'd be like, okay, yeah, sure. I don't think that's us you're talking about. It must be somebody else. But no, it is us. And it speaks a lot to the evolution of the quartet's musical identity, but also to the maturation of us as people. Well, maybe the 3 of them, I'm kind of still the same as I was when I was 18. But
I think a fun story about kind of like music choice that I think, and talking kind of about identity, what Paul is touching on is like a turning point for us as a quartet was when we stole Rhythm Is Our Business from the big band So I literally remember sitting in the audience and taking a video of the band and being like, we need to figure out what this is. Like, this could be a show opener. Like, we were thinking of it like that. And we got it arranged by Patrick McAlexander. Arrangement is awesome. It's part of our repertoire, but we don't like ever consider putting it in a contest song because we're like, this, like, there's no way. And we sang it at a Top Gun with a lot of judges there. And one of the judges came up to us and was kind of like, you're going to do that, right? And we were like, you can sing that in contest? And he was like, yeah, you can sing that in contest. And we're like, okay. So like that moment on, I feel like very much changed kind of, because it was like we were able to kind of come into our own with a song like that. There was like a lot of our personalities were in that. It was fun, it was up, and then I think like we kind of leaned into that direction as we went forward, and that was like a pretty big turning point. I don't remember like exactly what we were scoring at that point, but I do think there was kind of a jump and we kind of broke through a little bit of a wall there, and that was kind of like, okay, we kind of have the direction to go, and then we kind of leaned into that until more recent, which I feel like it's been now we're trying to balance it out a little bit more with ballads. But that was a huge turning point. If I don't think we ever had that song arranged, or if we didn't go to that Top Gun and we weren't told like, you can sing this, because there was not a lot of like homophony. There was a lot of da-ba-das and like people are singing solos. We each have a solo. It's like, but you could do it, and we did it, and it ended up working out in the end. But no, we love kind of stealing stuff from the band.
I'm gonna actually answer your question. I really love.
Dude.
I really loved all the music that I suggested that Dave shot down immediately.
Lead plus, that's what we call lead plus.
I love the song Dream On that we did back in Charlotte. Man, I love that. It was by Ben Rector. Dream On was such a good song. It is such a great song. Just the original or the original piece of music is so great. But then, man, I think that was Patrick too, right? That was Patrick.
That's Patrick.
Did that? And did he like do that in the very last second for us, like in May? Like we gave it to him in May, and
is that the one
he
where
turned
he
it
was
around?
Which one was it, Dave?
A matter of days.
He was like traveling, right? Wasn't he on vacation? And he was like, yeah, it's my birthday and I'm in Ireland, but also here's your chart. Was it that one? There was one where he did that.
I don't know, but we love you, Patrick.
Yeah.
And we're sorry.
I'm sure Newfangled's done worse too.
Yeah.
I love that. I also love I'm the only fan of country music really in the quartet. and there's like a ton of great music out there that I'm just going to continue to throw at the wall of Dave Ammirata and hope that it sticks.
Hey man, you got Humble and Kind.
I did. I got
2026, 6 country songs.
I was actually so I could say we're good friends with Sean Devine. I heard Humble and Kind in I think it was 2016 when Tim McGraw released that, and I listened to that song and I was like, we have to do this before Throwback gets it. We have to do it now. Do it now. And
it very much felt like something Throwback would do.
Yeah, right. It is just like such, and I know Sean loves that kind of music too, and so it's like quick, right now. And so we gave it to Brian Mastrel, and he put that chart together for us, and man, I love that one too. And I mean, it's the one I sing the solo on, so of course I love it. But man likes own idea, more at 11.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good. That's all good stuff.
For what it's worth, I also really enjoyed Dream On. That was kind of a quick one for us. It was kind of in and out. It's happened with a couple of songs, but for any other Dream On fans out there, don't you worry. That'll be on Gimme 4 Volume 3 when that comes out in 2020.
Awesome. Cool. Well, yeah, I mean, all were very valid answers to the question. Also great things to hear about. And Will, I like that you mentioned the photograph because I also love that song. And literally like 2 weeks before International, I was like, man, I'd love to like arrange this and do this for the group. And then I waited and then I saw it and I was like, oh, okay. That was
twice.
That was
there were
awesome.
2
Yeah,
arrangements.
someone else made it, so there was more than one. Yeah.
Cody's
and not the only
quartet.
Cody Fry song. So lots of Cody Fry. I'm very happy with that. He's great.
See, but the other quartet had somebody named Cody, so
In the quartet, yeah.
Oh, well, Maybe if you had been named Cody, it would have gone differently. I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
that's
what we're
piece.
missing. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to ask, you guys have kind of established this really cool personality for your group of kind of high energy, obviously also like kind of bouncy on stage, a lot of movement, especially with Dave when you kind of jump around all the time. Is that something that was, yes, exactly. Is that something that was kind of intentional, or was that just like, oh, we just ended up doing that and singing songs like that felt that way just by accident? How did that kind of personality happen with the whole group?
I mean, for me, I think it's just been like a progression of becoming comfortable, like in my own skin, and kind of like, in those who know me like as
we can confirm that is I wouldn't say all the time, but there are times where exactly what you're seeing on stage is something that Dave would do off stage.
I may have been known to jump on a few beds in the middle of rehearsal in hotel rooms. No, so I think like also, as you're learning to kind of perform and kind of be true to who you are, for me, that's kind of just been like kind of let loose. And I happen to kind of, I guess, it's funny because it's like a lot of that stuff too is like, it just feels like it just kind of happens. It's not like I'm like, I will stand on one leg now, and I think it also has to do with like the kind of charts that we end up choosing, like a Java, like how can you not sing that song and just have a freaking blast? So I get to be a coffee pot, this is my dreams right here. So I think in terms of uptunes, for me at least personally, like I know I just like I get so much energy from those charts and the arrangements, and it just like that's how it comes out for me. But I don't know about the rest of you guys.
We don't bounce.
Oh, okay. You don't do that?
Twirl.
I'm really holding us up then, I think.
That wasn't a 4-part choreo move, Dave.
Yeah, well, that's still fun to hear about. And I think that kind of, even with just you kind of being the one to lead that whole thing, kind of gives off this air for the whole group that is just sort of really fun to watch too. So it's great. I wanted to ask, I have a few rapid fire questions. Before we get to that, I have one last question about some contest specific stuff. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but other than this year, the past 2 years in the finals, you've had little funny moments where you kind of reference other groups. And I mean, we have to know, like, how did that happen? How did you prepare for that? How close was that to the convention that you decided to do that? Or that's
no, I don't know.
A magician never reveals his secrets.
We didn't. It was totally on the spot every time.
Yeah, we were backstage coming up with it.
You want to know what's funny about that? The first time we did it, which was right after Spider Farm, which was definitely the funniest one that we've done without a doubt, and got the biggest audience reaction. The BHS was doing a lot of backstage filming, and I think they ultimately ended up clipping a lot of stuff together.
Forgot about this.
They clipped a lot of it together, and we were backstage. Now we already knew Spider Farm was happening. We had already made plans.
Anybody that gets this far into the interview deserves to
know the truth.
Made.
We knew about Spider Farm already, and so we had already planned the joke, but we wanted it to look spontaneous, right? And so we're backstage, and their VHS is filming, and I end up stitching it together, I think, for a backstage kind of like montage. And we were like, guys, let's circle up and make it look like we're watching this and planning what we're going to do. And so we got huddled up, kept like pointing at the screen. And like, I think Joey started doing the spider motion with his hands to make it look like we were putting it together right there backstage in case that part ended up getting posted online.
I will admit also that like, even though it wasn't like, it wasn't like we just came up with it, there were definitely certain, like we had different iterations because like, what if we didn't sing after a certain quartet? Like if we weren't after Spider Farm. So like the fact that it happened like that, I think like played perfectly into our hand. But there was definitely permutations. Like every year, it's kind of like we have like 1, 2, or 3, and it's kind of like we pick what we think probably has the biggest audience impact, but like it doesn't. You don't know, like because a lot of the times we want to reference something that like we don't know we're going to be after first take, but once we did know that, it was like okay, like how can we do that? So a little bit of luck, I think, played into our hands too on that one.
No doubt about it. We had that first time in particular, we made like 7, and then we had to whittle that list down, and then it was all going to be paid depending on the draw. And when they called us right after Midtown, we were like, oh yes, because that was the best joke, and it being right after them as opposed to like 3 or 4 after them made the impact 10 times bigger than what it would have been.
Yeah.
That was a very, very fun, like it's one of my all-time favorite on stage moments.
Yeah. I think watching that live probably was like one of the funniest things of the entire night, was just getting to see that and being like, that came out of nowhere. I had no idea that was going to happen. It was hilarious.
How come we didn't get the hundreds? What the heck?
You could definitely feel the reaction though in the audience. Like that was like something visceral. Like you felt like it was like
no
so
doubt about it. Maybe we didn't get 100 on the score sheet, but if you go watch the YouTube video even now, you hear us drop the line. You hear the audience roar up to volume level 100 laughing for like 3 seconds, and then it peters back off. But it's like an absolute laugh spike that comes out right after we make the joke.
Yeah.
Shout out to those quartets though. Like they did the heavy lifting of creating these genius comedy numbers.
We just jumped on their coattails.
Glom on and do one like offhanded line about it.
Yeah. Well then, may I ask, what kind of things did you potentially have planned for the same spot this year? Was it always going to be the having the audience say your name, or what were the kind of options? Unless you don't want to say what they were.
No, I think we liked the idea of we've been singing 5 minutes more for a very long time, and we liked the idea of, if you can't just give me 4 of us being like, you say it this time, like because you've heard this, right? And so that was something I think we had always planned on doing. But the second spot there, cheer real loud will give us 99. We played with a bunch of different options for that one this time around. We had a ton of different ideas. We kept talking about ways to joke about the fact that we've been singing, competing in the contest for so long, or that we've been singing this song for so long, because this is the one that's been with us for the longest by far. So we had a bunch of different permutations, but we ultimately ended up on they'll give us 99, and we also threw in the +1, which is a nod to the Ambassadors' Step in Time set, especially with David in the pit. We thought that would be a nice little barbershop in joke.
But the whole philosophy of this iteration of the song was kind of summing up our philosophy for the whole week, which was, it's about the audience. It's about the audience. So like, how can we make this about the audience? Okay, let's have them say our names. Let's say cheer, like, and then in my solo at the end I sang like all year long we dream about this night, meaning like everyone at the convention loves finals night, like and then at the very end we sang we just want to stay in your arms, like we want to, it's so crazy because we work all year for this 20 minutes worth of music. 20 minutes worth of stage time total, something like that, right? And it's so fleeting, and you just, but that's also what makes it so special. If we did it every 3 months, if we did it every 6 months, it wouldn't be the same, right? So it was just we wanting to stay in that moment with the audience and making it about them rather than some cheap comedy line this time.
Yeah. Wow, awesome.
Let's make it about them by making them say our names.
That's funny.
And they did.
All right. Yes, they did. They did. Okay, cool. So I have a few rapid fire questions. We'll go. I have 3 for each of you. So we'll just sort of go. I'll just say I'll do 3 for this person and 3 for this. We'll go by person. So who wants to start? Anyone want to go first?
I'll go first.
Definitely Dave.
Right.
Oh God, I'm scared.
Yeah, and they can be super rapid fire, or if you feel like explaining something, or if you have a story, that's fine too. But they should be simple questions. What's your favorite animal?
Penguin.
Nice.
No hesitation.
What's your favorite food?
Does coffee count as a food, or are we talking about it's more of a drink? I'm gonna say chicken parm.
Awesome. And last question for you: what's the meaning of life?
Live, enjoy every second, because honestly you don't know, you never know about what's going to happen. So tell the people that you love them, enjoy what you get to do. Yeah, there you go.
There. Well, you heard it here first.
Oh my goodness, what a combo. What's your favorite animal? What's
I
your
was
favorite
scared.
food? What's the meaning of life?
I figured just some easy rapid fire question. Okay, Paul, how about
Yeah,
we'll go
thanks,
next.
Jason.
Yeah. So, Paul, well, what's your favorite onomatopoeia?
Oh my goodness.
Thank God you fed this to him.
Uh, pass.
Sure. What was a childhood fear of yours?
Pass.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And now the easiest one. What is humanity's most redeeming quality?
He passed the easy ones.
Um, I think humanity's most redeeming quality is compassion. Because when you think about the natural order of the world and the capacity of animals to care for something other than themselves and their young, which they're genetically coded to do, it does not exist. Humans have the unique ability to consider other people individually and as a collective. That's part of what makes us special.
Wow.
Um, I don't know what I was afraid of as a kid. Like literally, I don't remember.
Compassionless people.
Compassionless people.
All right. Well, thank you.
But let me think about
Onomatopoeias.
let me think about them though. Maybe I'll actually come up with an answer.
Sure.
I know it's not in the spirit of rapid fire, but bear with me.
Yeah, it's all right. Joe, how about I have three questions for you. Would you ever go skydiving?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Afraid of planes and heights.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Not really.
Okay. What is one missed opportunity you wish you could have had a second chance at?
Hmm. I auditioned to be a music teacher at the college that I went to, and I never thought I wanted to do that. But I loved barbershop so much, and the way that I was involved in youth in harmony projects and the youth chorus, being a leader within my group. I thought it was like I was like, you know what, maybe this is my place in the world. And I went up, and I didn't really know how to read music very well, and I didn't have any real grasp on theory, but I knew that I had the heart for it, and I knew I loved working with people. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go in, show them what I'm made of, and then I'll learn the rest in time. I was wrong. And that's it. I whipped. I just, like all the heart in the world doesn't really give you the 10 years of foundational knowledge that you need to go into music school. And and if I could go back and do it, I feel like I do, what we do now. I think I found a nice balance. I found a nice balance where I get to do what I do professionally, which is I'm in air conditioning, and I get to do some fun things. Do it here, as silly as that sounds. I don't install air conditioning units, but like I get to meet people, help design systems, be in sales. Like I love all that stuff. It's great, and I get to do some cool things there. But then I also get the barbershop side where I get that fulfilling, musical experience as well. If I could go back and be more prepared for that, I think I could. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I would change it if I could, but that's one that I wish I had back because I feel like I didn't represent myself as well as I could have, based on what I do now for this hobby and this this quartet and this experience, this musical experience. I feel like if I flash back in time to 2010 when I did that audition, that you would not think that person then is this person now. And I if I could have that one back, I might take it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Hey,
Cool.
Jason,
So,
if
yeah,
you'll allow me, I've got him.
please. Oh, awesome.
So the fear, this is barbershop related. Dave mentioned TriStar Chorus before. This is a youth chorus that was stood up back in 2007. Was originally put together. It still exists today. It's a chartered chapter now called East Coast Sound, and so really really proud of the unique kind of culture of the chorus and its unique history. One of the only choruses to compete in the youth chorus contest and then turn into a chartered chapter. I was told, hey, you should join this. It's going to be super fun. We're going to go to the Midwinter Convention. You love barbershop. Like, you've been really enjoying the Dapper Dans and singing a cappella with the Retromen. You should do this too. I was terrified of flying. And I was so afraid that I didn't even bother joining the chorus, because the purpose of the chorus was, the purpose, at least at the beginning, was just to go to the Midwinter Convention. So I was like, nope, not interested, not doing that. And then Mike D'Andrea, who put that chorus together, same guy who directed the Retromen and kind of ushered me over to the Dapper Dans, called my mom and said, hey, he doesn't want to do this because he doesn't like flying. And she was like, oh, that's dumb. You can go ahead and sign him up. I'll drive him to rehearsal. And so that got me past that fear. And that Midwinter is where I truly fell in love with barbershop. When I saw OC Times, Max Q sing live, completely changed my world, changed my life. It made me really fall in love with it. So that is a fear that I had when I was a kid, and getting over that, being forced to get over that, is a huge part of what led to me being as passionate about barbershop as I am. And then for Automatopoeia, in honor of George Gipp, pow!
Awesome. Great. All right. Thank you for sharing that again. Will.
Thank you for your patience.
Of course, I don't mind. Will, this last 3 questions for you. First one is, what's your favorite punchline to a joke? But you don't have to give the joke itself. You can just give the punchline, or you can tell the joke.
Anyone who's seen our show set, Joey tells a very, very long joke, and the punchline of the joke is, "And there was no punchline." If you are in the Indianapolis area, just skip over that part.
I'll tell a different one.
Yeah, there you go.
Or wherever else we're going to be in the next year.
What was your last impulse buy, if you have anything you can think of recently?
Oh. It might not be the most recent one, but I bought myself 2 pairs of sunglasses. That's not that exciting.
Nice.
Were they expensive?
That's
Not
a good
really.
question. All right, the last question. What's your go-to snack?
Cheez-Its.
You asked the right person that question.
No question. I literally had them today. I had them like 3 hours ago.
Cheez-Its are the best snack. That is a scientific fact.
Come at Paul and I. We will debate you.
I just bought 2 boxes of Cheez-Its today, a few hours ago, so
My
I
man.
totally agree.
I survived the lockdown on Cheez-Its and chocolate milk. There were days where I consumed only Cheez-Its and chocolate milk.
The appropriate way to eat Cheez-Its, by the way, is to take 1 box of original Cheez-Its and 1 box of extra toasty Cheez-Its, and then mix them together in one larger jar, because only extra toasty Cheez-Its is too much extra toasty, but to get a little extra toasty in a handful of regular is just perfect.
Yeah, I subscribe to that.
Title of this video: Gimme 4 talks.
Yeah. Hey, might be a sponsorship in there for you, Jason.
That's
Honestly,
true, yeah.
somebody's there's gonna be like an AI summary of this video, and it's gonna be like, Gimme 4 discusses musical development, Cheez-It preferences.
All right. I wanted to ask, you guys have music released. What was the process of that? You know, kind of to make a longer story, I assume a long story short. What is that process like for you guys as a quartet, and, you know, working with the band as well, to, you know, logistically, and then also like performing? How is that different recording than you are performing?
Yeah, I think the first one, we were kind of like, we didn't really know what we were doing, but we had kind of reached out, and that was like kind of the beginning of our relationship with Tim. So I forget exactly what happened, but we were talking to him, and we were saying like, hey, would you be willing to edit our CD? So then once we kind of had that relationship, we kind of went back and forth with him, and we were recording at a local studio in Lincoln Park, New Jersey. And we were actually just like in one room, in the corners of the room, and doing like maybe 1 to 2 songs a night, and just kind of going through and doing takes of that. And then for the second album, Tim actually just like did the whole entire process. So instead of going to a recording studio, we recorded with Tim. Same idea. We were all in the same room and kind of recording together at that same time. I think something that we focus on a lot when we're recording, like versus, you know, a normal rehearsal weekend or something like that, is like, Tim really wants us to bring out the personality in our voices, because, you know, like you know, you're not gonna, you might sing a note out of tune, like it's gonna happen, but that is something that can be fixed with post production. So, but if you have the character, you can't just be like, well, I'm gonna turn on the dial for some more character in your voice. You know, like that is not something that you can add. So I know when we're recording, it's like it's all about personality. We really need to hear it in your voice, and it's interesting. Like as we've kind of grown as a quartet, whenever I go back and listen to the older stuff, I'm kind of like, you get a little bit of like a cringe because you're like, you know, like you're like thinking of where we are today, but like also like I think now we probably have a better grasp of like, well, how can I add personality to my voice without taking away the good vocal habits and all the other things? But it's always a process, and we're like super proud of the first two CDs we've had, and the big band, like them being able to do that. We actually had to do like kind of a bit of a crowd fundraiser to do it, because you're talking like 15 people in a band, and you know, like we want to make sure they get like fair money for what they do, which is like tremendous, and it takes time, and it's not like, you know, it's something we don't take lightly. So they actually recorded all four at once, and we used two for the first album, and then we just dubbed our voices over that, and then we saved two because we were like, you know what, we're pretty sure we're going to do a second album at some point, and then we used the second two for that. So it'd be interesting to see. We've toyed with the fact, or the idea of like trying to do an entire big band CD, but like that's kind of a logistical nightmare. But like it's something that we really want to do at some point. But we like, those are some of my favorite tracks too. Even just to like sing along, like, and record to. Like again, it just kind of brings back that same kind of like emotional state that Joey's talking about. Like it's just so fun. So to even just like, that's the best recording I feel like I did in the studio, is just like you click play on the band, and then like, you know, sing my little vocal line over it. Piece of cake.
Yeah, great, that's awesome. And for anyone who hasn't listened to them, please go check it out. I'll put any appropriate links to any of that, and then also other videos. So if you, for some reason, have gotten this far in the interview and have never listened to Gimme 4, I don't know how that happened, but I'm going to make sure that people have
Let's
the
do it now. A
appropriate tools
one,
to
a
see
two.
that. Yeah.
Got it
Yeah.
back.
All right. Just, this is kind of also more of a quicker one probably, but I love it for each of you to be able to just give like a shout out to like someone who you listened to on your voice part, who you were inspired by as you guys were becoming, you know, getting kind of more into barbershop. Someone who you listen to where you're like, wow, I want to sing my part the way they sing their part. If anyone wants to jump in on that.
I want to be Gary Lewis. I want to
Yeah.
be Gary Lewis for Halloween.
For Halloween.
I want to be Gary Lewis forever.
Just for one day.
I just think that so like, I think the idea of like the lists, the greatest of all time lists that people put together, it's kind of unfair because you know they're the you know I just think it's a disservice. It's a disservice to the people that have done so much incredible work. You know, how do you pick a best baritone of all time? And I mean, like people do all the time, and that's but like I if I try if I can make myself more like Gary Lewis, I am doing the right thing. But then again, if I can make myself at all like Tony DeRosa, I'm doing the right thing, you know. And if I can make myself like Mark Metzger, I'm doing the right thing. You know, there's so much, you know, that's the greatest thing. One of the greatest things about barbershop is that we get to meet our heroes, and we get to like interact directly with the people that we you know emulate and that we idolize. So like I've gotten to meet all those people. You know, I was emailing Gary Lewis about learning tracks, you know, a couple of days ago. You know, it's like, yeah, Gary Lewis.
Yeah. And it's tangential to the point, but it is one of the coolest things about our art form. The biggest basketball fan in the world, you will never shoot hoops with Michael Jordan. I get to sing tags with Tim Warwick all the time.
Yeah.
Right. That's just unbelievably cool. It's such a cool thing about what we do. And I, you know, again, not having studied music, I very much listened to a lot of barbershop to kind of shape my voice. And, you know, it's almost cheating to pick Tim Warwick. But everyone, you know, wants to be able to sing tenor like him or sing any part like him, really. And I very much tried to learn everything I possibly could from him. But I actually want to shout out Tim Brorsema, because Tim Brorsema's voice, I think, is much more similar to mine naturally than Tim Warwick's is. And I recognize that even as a kind of a younger barbershopper coming in, that he had this unbelievable, clear, bell-like tone and it was just so ringy and fit so perfectly into every single chord that Real Time sang. And I very much wanted to be able to sing tenor like that. Part of me was like, oh man, I wish that I could post full voice B flats for 30 seconds like Tim Warwick can, right? But I couldn't and still can't do that. It's just not something that my voice is really well suited to. And so that was kind of almost like oh man, it's a shame that I can't do that. Whereas with Tim Borsima, especially coming into the art form, being a newer barbershopper, it was like, I want to sing like that. I can sing like that. I will sing like that.
Yeah.
Mine's going to come with a huge disclaimer because a lot of my vocal journey has been getting away from ever trying to sound like anybody. But Corey Hunt was the first one that came to mind for me. I love his just melodic tone. He sounds, you hear basses get coached like this all the time, like just sing it like a melody, right? But he literally always sounds like he's singing the melody, and then sometimes he does, and it's even more of a treat. But it was a very gradual realization. I guess I knew it kind of on an objective level that I shouldn't try to be making myself sound like anybody but the best version of myself, but actually putting that into practice over a long period of time has been a challenge. And I would say to anybody that's watching this that is maybe kind of struggling to find that, it's like, it's a good starting place, but ultimately the best version of you is just that. It's not going to be like, no one's going to watch you in a quartet or a singing solo and be like, oh man, I'm so glad that they sound like X person. They're going to be like, oh man, that performance really moved me because they were being true to who they are, both from a storytelling perspective, but also just like a vocal choice perspective.
It wouldn't hurt you to also try to sound like Gary Lewis.
Yeah.
I can make mine quick. My quartet would be, since I came to the hobby in Denver 2007 for my first international quartet, would be actually Vocal Spectrum. And then in terms of leads, Mike Slamka is someone I've always just like absolutely loved listening to what he does with his voice. There's just like so much artistry in every little thing that he does, and that is just, it's just the control, everything about it is just so good.
This conversations make me want to go listen to Barbershop. I think I might have to go listen to some Real Time and Crossroads and OC Times after this.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been totally wonderful. Thank you all so much for being here. Just one last question. What should we expect from Gimme 4 in the next year leading up to the next international, the closing out 2025 and 2026? What should we expect?
Probably us singing 5 minutes more a lot.
Oh,
Based on historical precedent.
we're finally getting rid of it.
Never say never.
No, I think we have like we had a big meeting like post international, and we have a lot of exciting new music coming up. So I think we're the kind of, and this was our philosophy a bit last year too, was kind of like, let's get a lot of things arranged. Let's see what sticks, what really resonates, and then we'll take it from there. So I think we have minimum like 4 or 5 new charts probably that are coming down the line. That doesn't mean that we'll sing 4 to 5 new charts, but I think as much as that works for us and we feel good about could be on the stage next year, it's just, we'll see.
Yeah.
It's also worth mentioning too, the contest machine being what it is. We haven't learned a show song, like a new show song, in a long time. And so we're going to try to find one of those too, because we do like to occasionally have fun.
Nice. All right. Well, again, thank you so much. This has been awesome. Hopefully everyone who's watching has gotten a great deal out of this. I know I personally have. And again, as I mentioned, you can go in the description and find any, tons of videos, tons of links to all the things. And if you are in a position to book groups for shows, this is a group right here, and they sing shows, and they're thinking about learning another show tune. So, that's always possible. Maybe one.
Just one.
Just one. Maybe a new
Hey, when
joke
you
also.
reach out to book us, mention this interview and you get a 1% discount.
There you go.
We'll do it. I'm the treasurer.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for watching. Have an incredible day.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.